There seems to be a popular misconception by most of the property development training companies in the UK that you should simply make a 25% profit of gross development value. Now, my big question is what happened to the profit on the land? So, for instance, if you're buying off market land that doesn't have planning, then you should be making a land profit. This is what we teach our students, and yet I've found not any other company that teaches it this way, and they've failed. So there should be actually two profit centers. There should be a 25% of gross development value on your build. So in other words, if you bought the land today, has all the permissions in place, and you could start building on the Monday, then you should be able to make a 25% of gross development value of profit, and that is because all that work has been done in advance. But if you are sourcing the land, it doesn't have planning, you take it through planning and you then gain the planning ready for your development, that should be rewarded. And because you've first of all taken a risk, and we show you how to mitigate your risk, but you've taken the risk, but also you've done a lot of work in order to achieve that. And in any other business, you would think that you would get paid for that. And in fact, you should. The reality is that the way that most people teach you to find land is almost a hybrid of looking on Rightmove, Zoopla, and they do talk about finding off-market land, but the reality is that most of the land that they find has at one time or another been through one of these mediums. So we teach you a completely different way. And what I want to do is I want to illustrate to you a deal which actually illustrates that principle. So let's have a look at it. We believe land is scarce, that there's too much competition, it's too expensive, and yes, that's because we're looking in the wrong places. We have that limiting belief that you can't purchase land and make a profit out of it. So I want to show you a clear path. So what I want to do is to show you the first deal that I did, and it was back in 2005 when I first started looking for land. So the costs are going to be very much lower, but the principle is exactly the same. And one of the charges that you might make was, well, that was back 2005 and things were cheaper. Actually, it wasn't. It was very much a rising market, because if you remember, we had that whole crash in 2008. So we were very much on an upward trajectory at this particular period of time. But however, the costs are much lower than you would expect today, but the principle is exactly the same. So if we look, our groundworks, it's 13,607, the timber frame kit 44,674, masonry outer skin 8,015, plumbing and heating 9,436, electrical 2,712 pounds. The roof 5,408, the joinery 28,732. That's high because in fact the joiners pretty much did everything in constructing the house. Decoration 6,000 should I say 114, which included the outside decoration of the house. Kitchen and bathroom 12,310. I spent far too much on the kitchen, very much a rookie mistake. Total cost £131,008. So this was a reasonably large house, 218 square meters, working out at £600 per square meter. The additional cost was the preliminaries at 6,398. Added to that, the build, landscaping, which a lot of people forget, is 10,072. Should I say, selling cost 2,812, total cost 150,290. Our land we purchased for 40,000, giving a total cost of 190,290 pounds. This was sold for 295,000 pounds, giving a profit of 104,709 pounds, giving us as a percentage of GDV 35.49%, which by most people's reckoning is extraordinarily high. So how did we achieve that? We achieved that because we made money on the land development. So if we have a look at this, the land we purchased for 40,000, our prelims associated with the purchase and the gaining of planning for the land was 4,398. So it gives us a total cost of 44,398. This was then surveyed at so a surveyor came along and valued this at 75,000, giving us a profit of 30,602 on the land. That meant a total of 40.8% of the uplift value. In other words, if we had sold this for 75,000, we would have made a profit of 30,000. So our GDV on the land would have been 75,000, and as a percentage of that, we'd have made 40.8%. Incidentally, I was told by the surveyor and local estate agents that this land would have sold in that particular area for about 100,000. So that was certainly not the market value at 75,000. So the build costs we've talked about before was 131,000. The prelims associated with that are 2,000. The landscaping in here, the selling costs, so the total cost 145,892. So what I'm doing here is I'm simply stripping out the build and looking at the build itself without the land. So the sales value is 220,000. That's taking the 75,000 off that 295,000 to give us 220,000, which is the sales value associated with the build. So that gives a profit on the build of 74,107. And as you see, we still achieved our at least 25% of gross development value on our build. Clearly, obviously, if we had paid the full price for our land, then that would have brought our profitability down. So if you'd like to know how to do this and follow our process, we're going to be holding a free training. You'll find a link somewhere below this video or around this video where you can access this training, and we will teach you the whole process. And for attending the training, I want to give you this process map which details step by step all the steps that you need to take in order to follow this process. So have a look for the link around this video somewhere and join us on the training.